Up to 90% of the serotonin in your body, the neurotransmitter that's often referred to as the happiness chemical, is actually produced in your gut, not your brain. This is just one of the reasons why what you eat can shape exactly how you think and how you feel, affecting not only your mood, but even your cognitive ability. Today, I'm revealing 7 amazing nutrients that are premium grade fuel for that biological supercomputer that sits in your head. These are science-backed super brain foods, and these are perhaps not your typical suggestions either. So stick around, because the last one is one that you may not have heard of, but is actually showing promise in not just sharpening focus, but in fact growing new brain cells. So let's dive in. First, think of your brain as like a crowded orchestra with the various sections with brass and percussions and strings representing different functions of the brain, whether it's to do with emotional regulation or memory or focus. The nutrients we're discussing today are like conductors, fine-tuning this chaos into a symphony of positivity and productivity. Okay, first up, number 1. A vitamin that might already be in your pantry, but you're probably not getting enough of it. And it's B vitamins. Think of these as like spark plugs for your brain. They're essential in converting the food that we eat into energy, and also the various different neurotransmitters that we need for signaling in the brain. The collective effects are particularly prevalent for various different aspects of brain function, whether it be, as mentioned, energy production, or DNA and RNA synthesis and repair, methylation, and the production of numerous different neurochemicals and signaling molecules that ensure our brain is working as it should. And studies show that deficiencies in various B vitamins, particularly B6, B9, otherwise known as folate, and B12, are linked to low mood and cognitive decline. For example, those who are B12 deficient not only have an increased risk of developing Alzheimer's dementia, but also of depression. Similarly, folate deficiency can reduce serotonin production, therefore affecting your happiness. In this study, they wanted to test the effects of giving elderly patients with depression a vitamin B supplement. And we understand there may be a relationship between your mood and your cognitive ability, with those who suffer from depression often perceiving that they have very poor memory and poor focus. And yet when this vitamin B compound was given to these elderly participants, it actually showed a benefit to their cognitive function, showing that it may combat this effect. And a systematic review and meta-analysis was done on not only at-risk but also healthy individuals, with the majority of the studies included showing that giving vitamin B had benefits to mood, appearing to be most effective at combating stress. Evidence from human research clearly shows that a significant proportion of the population, even in developed countries, suffer from insufficiencies in this vitamin, and that in the absence of optimal diet, the entire B vitamin group, rather than just a subset, should be given, likely in excess of what government recommendations are, as a rational approach to preserving brain health. Good examples of foods would be leafy greens and eggs and red meat. But if you are concerned that you may not be getting enough, or you've even had blood work done that shows that you are deficient, then of course you can supplement with a high strength vitamin B compound to include all B vitamins. Number 2 is ashwagandha, nature's stress shield. Ashwagandha is like a stress sponge. If you imagine stress as like static on a radio, then ashwagandha just helps dial everything down, letting your mental clarity shine through. Multiple studies show that ashwagandha helps reduce cortisol, this stress-related hormone, and in fact helps improve people's resilience to both physical and mental fatigue. In this amazing randomized controlled trial, they gave participants 300 milligrams of high-strength, full-spectrum extract from the ashwagandha root. And after 60 days, what they demonstrated was that the treatment group ranked so much better on all stress-related scales. But here's where it gets interesting. It was not just their perceived level of stress that changed. We actually saw true biochemical changes. Their blood work showed that there was a significant reduction in cortisol, showing that it has a formidable effect on your stress response. So whether you add it to your smoothies or other recipes or take it as a supplement, this is one food that punches above its weight in the fight against stress. Number 3 is saffron, the sunshine spice, named so for good reason, because studies show that it can actually help increase levels of dopamine and serotonin by inhibiting their reabsorption, acting in a very similar way to many different antidepressants. One clinical trial found that just 30 milligrams, which is roughly equivalent to a small pinch, was effective at reducing depressive symptoms and improving mood, comparable to antidepressants. What was most remarkable in this study was that by day 56, people were not just ranking better on assessment scales, they actually reported better relationships in their life. Because of course, how you feel, your mood determines how you interact with the world around you and the people in it. And when you fix that internal stress and find yourself in a place of better mental health, then you will react better to the people around you. You will be kinder, you'll be more empathetic, and this in all will affect your life to a great degree. But what was amazing about this study was in fact how they responded to psychosocial stress that was placed on them, specifically heart rate variability. For those who don't know, heart rate variability is simply the difference in time between different heartbeats. So your heart might beat 60 times a minute, but it doesn't actually beat exactly regularly, although it might appear so. There is a slight variation in the time between each beat, with higher variation being a sign of better fitness and less stress. But as your heart rate variability decreases, this is a sign of acute stress and is strongly related to mortality. And what did we see with these participants who received Saffron? Compared to the placebo, they had a much higher heart rate variability when psychosocial stress was placed upon them, showing that they reacted better to stress in their life. So think of Saffron as nature's Prozac, just without the side effects. Sprinkle it in your tea, your rice, or other dishes, even desserts. Even just smelling it is reported to have benefits. But it is versatile as it is powerful. Okay, before we go on to number 4, I would just love it if you could hit that like, subscribe button and ring ding ding that bell. I'm an acute medical specialist, but with a love for functional and longevity medicine. And I release content each week that I hope offers concise, practical information to just help you live a healthy and long life, to help beat death in life. And I would love to have you along for the journey. So please click those buttons. It will be the easiest thing you do today, but it might just benefit you for years to come. Okay, on to number 4. Curcumin, the inflammation firefighter. Curcumin is the active compound within the herb turmeric. Okay, now picture your brain as a bustling city. Inflammation is like clogging up of all the various streets. This sprawling network of streets throughout the city is filled with debris and rubbish and rubble, slowing everything down and causing chaos. Well, curcumin works as like a traffic cop or a street sweeper, just clearing this whole network, reducing inflammation and allowing things to flow freely and work as they should, allowing neurons to communicate more effectively without stress placed upon them. Curcumin influences several different biological mechanisms, namely, it helps reduce oxidative stress, but it also affects your HPA axis. This is the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, which has a crucial role in your stress response. And this may be why it's linked with better mood, better memory, and even a reduction in the progression of neurodegenerative diseases. In a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial, they took patients with major depressive disorder. So these are people who are debilitated by significant depression. And they gave them curcumin, 500 milligrams, twice daily, or a placebo for a total of 8 weeks. And from week 4 onwards, the curcumin group demonstrated significant improvements in their mood-related symptoms compared to the placebo group. So I strongly advise the use of turmeric or curcumin specifically for various different reasons, this just being one of them. And in order to activate its benefits, do pair it with black pepper as this helps its absorption. So 5th on the list is vitamin D. Called a vitamin, but really acts more like a hormone, influencing everything from your skeletal health to your memory to your mood. And low levels of vitamin D have been linked with depression and brain fog. And a meta-analysis of all studies, taking care to exclude those ones with biological flaws, showed that vitamin D supplementation did have a significant effect on emotional well-being. Now, of course, the primary source of vitamin D is via sun exposure. And so you cannot get away from the fact, you cannot ignore that just being out in sunlight, being outside in nature is also a wonderful remedy for your mental health, for your focus, for your energy. But if you live in a place or your lifestyle does not allow you to get enough sunlight, then of course you can do a couple of things. Firstly, ensuring that you're eating the correct foods like salmon, eggs, mushrooms, but of course you can supplement if you require. And it's shown that just by getting enough vitamin D, this has a tangible difference on your mood. Okay, number 6. Is probiotics, and this one is a game changer. Your gut is called the second brain for good reason, not only because it has its own entire nervous system, also in the way that it communicates with your brain via the gut-brain axis. This is a direct line of communication between what is going on within your GI tract and your brain, and influences it in many different ways. Indeed, the gut microbes, this huge abundance of life that lives within your GI tract, in fact influences how you think, how you feel, and numerous other health measures. And it can do this through various different mechanisms, through amino acid metabolism, short-chain fatty acids, indirectly through the vagus nerve, and even through immune and endocrine pathways. Essentially, all you need to know is that there is an incredibly close relationship between those two organs, that what goes in one directly affects what happens in the other. And we see strong evidence of gut dysbiosis, imbalance in the flora of bacteria that sits within your gut, and the presence of mental health disorders, as well as numerous other health conditions. So it's really important that you establish a very healthy gut flora, because it is a mutually beneficial relationship. We help them and they help us. As I mentioned, it is here within the gut that we actually produce many of our neurotransmitters and hormones. A happier gut means a sharper, healthier mind. And science is only just beginning to scratch the surface, but nonetheless, the evidence is still compelling. For example, in this study, it showed that there was a strong relationship between gut dysbiosis and the presence of various symptoms of anxiety and depression, but also by giving prebiotics and probiotics, it helped improve these symptoms. Now, prebiotics are simply the foods in which that the bacteria feed upon. So I would strongly suggest you look up what are good prebiotics. As for probiotics, you can either have this in food form, things like kimchi, kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, kombucha, but you can also take in a supplemental form as well. Number 7. Last of all is lion's mane, the brain's builder. If there were ever a food declared as brain superfood, I think lion's mane might be deserving of the title, because research shows that lion's mane actually helps increase the production of nerve growth factor, which helps repair and regenerate neurons. Imagine your brain like a forest, and that nerve growth factor helps replace and replenish those withering trees with new ones. This is essentially what this mushroom is theorized to do for your brain. And it's also been studied for its potential benefits in combating anxiety and Alzheimer's. Now, most of the studies thus far on lion's mane have used participants either middle-aged or elderly, and often with cognitive compromise, showing that there has been improvement in mood and cognitive function. But in this amazing pilot study, it actually used young, healthy individuals to measure both the acute and the chronic effects of giving them lion's mane. And what it showed was that even just acutely, that was only 60 minutes after giving them lion's mane, they showed improvements in the Stroop task, which is a classic neuropsychosocial task that involves cognitive flexibility and selective attention and inhibition. And lion's mane appeared to improve these. And over the 28-day period, we see a trend towards reduced subjective stress. These findings tentatively suggest that lion's mane may improve your cognitive speed and also your mood, and doing so even in young, healthy adults. You can add it to your coffees, to soups, or again, take in capsule form. Either way, I think it is one that your brain will be grateful for. So there you have it, from ancient adaptogens to more cutting edge neuroscience. We have a selection of nutrients that I think will help fortify your brain, both in mood and cognition, and support your overall mental health. You can start small, just add 1 or 2 to your routine first, and just see the effects of it. As always, do discuss with your doctor, but please feel free to share this with anyone who you think may benefit from this information. Please leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you, and do like and subscribe. I'd love to have you along for the journey. I'll be offering science-backed information to help optimize your mind and your body that I think you'll find really, really helpful. Until next time, take care of your brain. It's the only one you've got. And if you want to find out the best foods to help prevent or even reverse heart disease, then watch it. Until then, take care.